Hi everybody, it's Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Hallmark Plus More, where we watch and talk about shows, movies, mysteries, Hallmark ornaments, and anything else that floats our boat. So today I'm going to be reviewing a Hallmark Christmas movie called The Santa Class. So before I get into the review, I want to say thank you to everybody who likes, subscribes, watches my videos. I appreciate you so much. So thank you so much for doing that. So this movie starts out with Kate North, who is the owner, struggling to kind of keep open this Santa school, who her father started, but he's retiring to Florida. So she's kind of struggling with this school, and you see that right away. And she stars Kimberly. And Kimberly's a great actress. I love all the movies she's in. So once I saw that she was in this, and Ben was in it, he's great. And I love Paul Campbell. He's in that as well. But she starts out where she's kind of struggling to keep this Santa school afloat. And when I see that it's a Santa school, I thought, oh, this is going to be fun. Let's see what kind of, challenges and lessons they're going to teach the Santas. It's called North Star Training Academy for Santas. So you kind of hear as the movie goes on, there's another school for Santas that is a little bit more prestigious. Obviously has a lot more money backing it. This North Star is kind of small on the surface of things, but they have this competition called the Christmas Cup where they compete. And apparently her dad started it because he wanted some friendly competition, but they've never won. So he is kind of the legacy behind North Star. So when people found out that Kate was taking over and he was retiring, she lost some of her students. They were like, hey, they even showed an email like, hey, I hope you understand, but I was basically coming to your school because of the legend that is your dad. And now that he's retired, I kind of want a refund. So Kate is struggling to keep it afloat. And now she's having students want refunds and doesn't want to go through in their session. So you kind of see from the beginning she's struggling. There's another trainer named Dan who works for the competitor. And, like I say, the competitor has more money. Not necessarily that they're better, but you see that all the time. You have these huge hotels and you have the little local B&Bs. And they're just different, right? I mean, it's just a preference. But like I said, her dad is the one who made this legacy of North Star. That was his passion. Kate is following in his footsteps because she feels obligated, as most people do in family businesses. So, you're kind of going to see that friction. She's not a, over the top Christmas person. And she's got a sister named Bailey who actually went to school and got her doctorate. So she's a little bit younger than Kate, and she's home as well. So she's there to kind of help navigate Kate to take over this business. But as they say, they're struggling. So they have 7 people in their school. And basically, Dan comes over as a trainer. He basically gets fired. And he doesn't have family nearby, and he basically goes to Kate because he knows Kate. Not that they're great friends, but they at least know each other. And he basically begs Kate for a job. Like, look, I got, I need this job. Basically, I'm going to level with you. I got fired. I need this job. So she's a little hesitant to give him the job, but they're in the car and they actually almost hit a Santa. So there's this gentleman in a Santa costume and he's in the middle of the road and they're like, whoa, what's he doing? And he's kind of out of it. And I don't know if he got why he's wandering around in the forest, but they're like, oh, maybe he was in a car accident. So Dan and Kate go in the woods looking for his car or, any identification of who this person is. And they see Santa's reindeer and Santa's sleigh. And they're like, wait, are we really seeing this? And then they leave. So then they're like, okay, this is the real Santa. He's disoriented. He doesn't know who he is, but his ride just left. So they basically Kate and Dan bicker, and that's one of the things. There's so many things that I love about this movie, but that's one of them, is watching Kate and Dan bicker about what they're going to do about Santa. I felt was realistic. I mean, obviously this is about, the real life Santa, so I can't say this is 100% realistic, but the bickering I definitely loved. I was like, oh yeah, I can believe that. I can believe that they really would be bickering, like, what do we do? Is this a real Santa? Like, do we take him to the police? Like, what do we do? And Dan's like, let's bring him back. I mean, if he's lost his memory, maybe being around other Santas will trigger his memory. And Kate's like, won't that freak him out? I mean, will that mess with him? So you're kind of going on like both sides of what are we going to do with him. So obviously they bring him back to the camp, and him along with 6 other students, and they're all characters, right? One of them has a puppet. One of them's a woman, and I love her sassiness. And she's gonna play Santa, and one of them's Paul Campbell, and he plays himself, and I was not expecting that, so to me that was such a happy surprise. I love that. So you see them, and he's basically researching for a Christmas movie role, so he's calling his agent. He's like, that's why I'm here, for research. And I love that. It's like Paul being Paul himself, the actor. And Christmas movies, that's Hallmark. Like, we're watching a Christmas movie. So I just thought that was a cute little spin on it, and I loved that they did that. So they did exercises, there's little classroom scenes for the Santa class, and one of them was write down Christmas movies, and he's like, that'll be easy, I've been in like 35 of them. And I just thought that was so funny, because I'm like, oh, Paul Campbell, of course you have. And so, it's funny to see that go through. And there are different tasks or challenges, so to speak, as part of this session for being a Santa. And one of them is this man, Ned, who owns malls. And one of the exercises is you go to the mall and you deal with these kids, these shock kids and screaming kids. And so I thought that was interesting, and it's a lot, I love kids, but yeah, you take, all these kids seeing Santa, and a lot of them couldn't handle it. But then Santa goes out and he does great, right? Because he knows what the kids want, and he's able to kind of work through it because he is the real Santa. So I loved that, seeing him kind of in his element, so to speak, because he's Santa. But then, since he can see what people want because he's the real Santa and he knows Christmas wishes, he sees that Ned wants to buy North Star. And obviously Kate doesn't know that. So he tells Kate, and Kate confronts Ned and is like, hey, I heard you want to buy North Star. And Ned is very forthcoming with it. Yes, this was your dad's thing. I know it's not your thing. Like, Ned can almost say, like, I know this isn't what you want to do with your life. You're just doing it because out of love and respect for your dad. So sell it to me. I know this isn't what you want to do. Sell it to me. I can make another great mall property. And so Kate's like, oh, I'll think about it. Because like I said earlier, they're struggling, they're not making ends meet. And she doesn't want to do this for the rest of her life. She feels bad if she has to sell, but she's like, we're probably going to go under. So, that's a little side story there. And then they go to a bar that has Christmas trivia night. And of course she sees Blaze, which was Dan's agent, but he's also with the other Santa school or the other Santa Academy with all the money. And basically they're like, okay, we'll play you in Christmas trivia. We can win. And one of the questions was, name the wise man. And Paul was like, I was the third wise man. I'm the answer. And everybody's like, no, they mean like, historically, who was the third wise man. But again, that's another crack of Paul Campbell being Paul Campbell. And if you've seen a lot of Hallmark movies, I'm sure you've heard of The Three Wise Men and a Baby movie. It is one of my ultimate favorite Hallmark Christmas movies. That's with Paul Campbell, Andrew Walker, and Tyler Hines. They're the three brothers in it, and It is phenomenal. If you have not seen that, you need to watch Three Wise Men and a Baby. They just made another one, Three Wiser Men and a Boy, which is phenomenal too. And it's funny because Kimberly, who acts in this movie as Kate, she actually wrote those movies. So she's not just a talented actor; she's also a talented writer. So that's another kind of level to peel off of this movie, kind of that onion you're peeling off. Paul Campbell is playing himself. He refers to the wise men as him, which I'm sure is that reference to Three Wise Men and a Baby, which is such a popular Hallmark movie. And then it also, kind of takes it from Kimberly too, because she wrote the movie and she's acting in this one. But seriously, both of those movies are on, my top 5 list of top 5 Hallmark Christmas movies. Three Wise Men and a Baby, Three Wiser Men and a Boy. Definitely check it out. Paul's in it, Andrew Walker and Tyler Hines. I'm sure you've heard of them. They're phenomenal, and there's a better cast. The supporting cast is great too. So I love that how Paul Campbell's throwing in those references because he's playing himself, right? So rightfully so. Who was a third wise man? I was, because he played one. And then, they lose Christmas trivia and they're like, we lost. And Kate is kind of like, okay, but you know what? We're all unique. And I feel like this is one of those little morals to the story that, a perfect Christmas is imperfect. She's basically saying each of the Santas in her class are all unique. Paul Campbell is playing like this sleek actor Santa, and then you see the guy with the puppet. You see the woman being, like a woman Santa Claus. You have another guy who's like hippie Santa, and then you have the real Santa. And then you also have a young kid who also just got out of school with his doctorate, and he's kind of like the brainy Santa. So basically what Kate is saying is, hey, we're all trying to conform to this one specific Santa persona. Why don't we embrace our uniqueness? Why don't we, instead of trying to be like the way the Santa is, why don't we embrace the hippie Santa and the woman Santa and kind of, embrace and be unique? And I love that because there's all different types of Santa. And she's like, let's try to win the Christmas Cup as us, not as trying to all be the Santa. So then you kind of see a softer side to Kate and Dan. They go kind of on a date at the Christmas market. They kind of crash a holiday party and they do this slow dance and then they get thrown out. And I thought that was kind of, cute little side note. Kind of having Kate go outside of her comfort zone, crashing a holiday party. And then, they actually kiss in the movie once they get kicked out before they end their date. And then Kate is picking him up for work because when he got fired, he had a company car. So Kate's picking him up for work, and then she picks him up for work, and they're like, we're going to stay professional. And then they start making out in the car, which to me is realistic too. I kind of like that, where it's like, okay, now they're going to be professional at work. And Bailey, Kate's sister, overhears them talking about how Nick is the real Santa. So now she knows. So now you've got, her in on it. And, the Christmas Cup is in a couple days and they really want Nick to be a part of it, right? Because he's the real Santa and he's going to help them win. But Kate's like, look, he needs to realize who he is. Like, he's starting to pick up that he can make Christmas wishes, but it's like his memory still isn't all there. So Kate, in this really touching moment, kind of tells them like, hey, let's try something. Reach into your bag and not what I want, but what do you want? Like, think about what you want, envision it, and see if you can get it. And he pulls out a cookie, which is obviously typical Santa form, right? He's like, that's what I wanted, a cookie. And she's like, no, what do you really want? Envision it. And he pulls it out. And it's a whistle. And he goes to Kate, how did you do that? And Kate's like, no, this is you. The magic is in you. And Kate kind of has that heart to heart with Nick. And Nick blows this whistle. Nothing happens, and he's like, oh, nothing happens. And then the next day is the Christmas cup, and they go through all of these, challenges, and they're tied. The very last challenge is this obstacle course, and only one team member does it. They pick names out of a hat, and of course they pick Nick's name, the real Santa. And as soon as they do that, before he does the obstacle course, you see this woman coming going, hey, and it's his wife. It's Mrs. Claus. And she doesn't recognize him. He doesn't recognize her. And he goes, who are you? And she goes, I'm your wife. And when she touches his arm, so Mrs. Claus is touching Nick, Santa Claus's arm, it's like all of the flashbacks come back and he realizes, I'm Santa Claus. Like, it just kind of hits him. And she's like, yes, honey, you are. Like, and she's so sweet, like coming to the realization, I missed you. I'm so glad, and he's like, how did you find me? She's, you blew the whistle. That's our beacon. I heard it. I came for you. So before he leaves, he tells Mrs. Claus, I have to do this one last thing. So he goes through the obstacle course, and he's kind of behind, and then he has to go up to the chimney and ring the bell. And, he's Santa Claus. He does his little magic, and he rings the bell, and they win the Christmas cup. And then he leaves. But, because obviously he has to get back to the North Pole, but very, sweet moment where you see Mrs. Claus. She understands. She sits there and watches them go through the obstacle course. Like, that's the Christmas magic, right? They win the Christmas cup, and then you see that other people have already signed up for the next year. So, she decides not to sell because now she has students for the next season. So that was kind of touching too. They win the Christmas cup. And they go through the obstacle course, and then Santa gives Kate, and I think this is before the obstacle course, but when they kind of have that heart-to-heart, so I kind of skipped that part. But Santa gives Kate a present, and it's 2 tickets to Paris, which is where she's always wanted to go. So I thought that was sweet that Santa actually gave back to Kate. So, there's a lot of touching moments. They have a Secret Santa moment where all the students buy a present for another student. And there's really sweet moments there too. So, if you get a chance to watch this movie, there's a lot of great moments, very touching moments, and makes you believe in the magic of Christmas, with Santa. And one of the ways it ends, again, going back to Paul Campbell being Paul Campbell, he calls his agent and is like, hey, I'm ready for the role. Like, he said he was researching for a role, and he's like, I'm ready to play, Love at North Pole. And you can hear him go, what? They gave the role to Andrew Walker? And I had to laugh because, Andrew Walker is a Hallmark star. He's a great Hallmark star, and he was in the movie with Paul Campbell, and Ryan Hines as 3 Wise Men and a Baby. So when he goes, what? They gave the role to Andrew Walker? That cracked me up because, again, they're referencing another actor in Hallmark movies who was amazing too. Love Andrew Walker, big fan. So, and then the last scene, you see that box. They rings the doorbell, and it's a box for Kate that says, hey, if you ever need help at the school, don't be afraid to call. And he gives them the whistle that he blew. That kind of is that beacon to get a hold of Santa. So definitely a great movie. What I love, what I didn't love, did I believe the characters and the storyline and the actors? And then, the feels. How did I feel about the movie, or how I felt about the storyline. So those are really the 4 things I do anytime I do a review, and kind of like my gen rating anytime I rate a movie. So I definitely liked the actors and actresses. I kind of told you throughout, I love Kimberly. She's amazing, and she's an amazing writer because she wrote one of the best Christmas Hallmark movies, The 3 Wise Men and a Boy, 3 Wiser Men, 3 Wiser Men and a Boy, 3 Wise Men and a Baby. Let me get the titles right. But like I say, they're in my top 5 of Hallmark Christmas movies, and she wrote both of them. with other people, but she's amazing anyways. And I love Paul. Him playing himself was just brilliant in this movie, so kudos to the writers for writing that in and all of his little references to his own movies. And then Andrew Walker, and Benjamin Ayres was great in this movie as well. The cast was great. Any movie that makes you believe in Santa, believe in Christmas, have that Christmas magic, I feel like we all can relate to that as kids, and it just made me feel good about the movie. It made you just want to, I don't know, go watch another Christmas movie, or, go buy a Christmas present, or go volunteer at a children's toy drive, or, it makes you feel good, and it wants you to give back. It shows the season of giving, what's really important. I feel like is kind of the moral to this movie. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it. I can't mention anything really that I want to say was like that I disliked about the movie. I thought it was very well done. Everybody played great. The Santa that they had, Nick, I guess the character that played the real Santa, he was great. I always love the Santas that they get in these movies, because older gentlemen's real white beards, or they look real. They always have great characters for these movies. So, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It was funny. It made you feel good. Made you believe in the magic of Christmas and Santa, and the acting was incredible. And it was just fun and funny all throughout. So many funny scenes. Paul Campbell is amazing. Every scene he was in was funny, but so many different challenges and things. So for this movie, my Gen rating, as you can probably tell, I'm definitely giving it high marks. So for this movie, I definitely give it as my Gen rating 5 gold crowns. I thought it was a great movie. If you have an opportunity to watch it, I loved it so much, I'll probably watch it again. And same thing, if you've never seen Three Wise Men and a Baby or Three Wiser Men and a Boy, the new one that came out this year, definitely watch them. It has such a good lesson, family at the core. I think that's why I like it. Paul Campbell, Tyler Hynes, and Andrew Walker, just the three of them, I totally believe that they're brothers. So if you ever get a chance to watch those, or you see them air, definitely watch it. They're amazing. And as a backstory, Kimberly wrote them, so she's amazing as well. So thank you so much for watching my review. Like I said, I hope you get a chance to watch this movie. Hallmark, you did great. I give you 5 gold crowns. So until next time, bye.